G'day World Wide Web, Lew Dub with a preview of the Royal Ascot Gold Cup, and we've got a relatively large field for this year's edition, 11 runners. The defending champ Trawlerman is back, and the favourite is 4-year-old Scandinavia, while Rahiebb is another one that's highly fancy. I won't waste much time on race history, but to say the race has a more than 200-year history with many multiple winners. Not many 8-year-old winners though, and that's something to remember in connection to this year's race. Now, if you're wondering where I am, I'm not in England, not in Australia, but Osaka, Japan. I was on track recently for the Takarazuka Kinen, and I got wet. Not in all the excitement, but the deluge. It absolutely teamed down. The energy and atmosphere was palpable, but I'll talk about that more on another occasion. Number 1 is Nayyir. The 8-year-old gelding finally steps up to the marathon that is the Royal Ascot Gold Cup. Of his last 7 starts, he's raced over 2 miles or more 5 times. So he is primed, he's seasoned. Now, he doesn't win many, and his win in February this year was in a depleted Group 3 Nad Al Shabar over in Dubai, just as the missiles started flying about in the Middle East. Since then, he's been 3rd in the Group 2 Dubai Gold Cup over 2 miles, and recently 2nd to Rahiebb in the Yorkshire Cup over roughly 2,800 metres. Rahiebb is the joint 2nd favourite for the Ascot Gold Cup, and Nayyir was within 2.5 lengths of him, so he could be one for the exotic bets. Riffa, a great moment for the Australian bloodstock outfit. They've got a runner at Royal Ascot in the Gold Cup, no less. Unfortunately, Riffa is unlikely to win. His last win was in the Irish St Leger in September last year. That was over 14 furlongs, approximately 2,800 metres. Here, we're stepping up to 4,000 metres. Since his Irish St Leger win, he's raced respectively with a 7th in the 2-mile Melbourne Cup, a 4th in the 1.5-mile Hong Kong Vase, a 6th in the 2-mile Dubai Gold Cup, and most recently a fast finishing 3rd over 3,100 metres in the Group 1 Vicomtesse Vigère. Most are of the opinion, that includes me, that his last run looked impressive due to a pedestrian tempo, and all he did was show his signature sharp turn of foot. Caballo De Mar, a 5-year-old gelding that's been making inroads at the top of the staying ranks. He took out the Prix du Cadran, a 4,000 metre race in France in October last year. His next run was a little disappointing, with connections putting it down to track conditions. He's returned to competition this year and stamped himself as a genuine force to be reckoned with though, picking up 2nd in the Dubai Gold Cup over 2 miles, 2nd in the Group 3 Sagaro Stakes, fighting it out with Sweet William and carrying close to 1 kilogram more. Just about a month ago, he won in France in the Group 1 Vicomtesse Vigère over 3,100 metres. He races near the pace, and if he can prove just a little bit more, he will be in the first 3. Dubai Future, he was here last year with J Mac on board and picked up a strong finishing 3rd. Trainer Saeed bin Sarour is under no illusions that Dubai Future is a likely winner of the Gold Cup based on comments after his recent win in the Henry II. But last year the horse put on a good show. He's a pretty honest horse, so they're going to roll the dice again. He'll be one of those horses settling well off the pace, doing his best work late, and they do have prize money up to 6th place. Sweet William, well, hard to believe, but the 7-year-old is, according to official ratings, in the best form of his career. He's contested the last 2 Gold Cups, finishing 3rd to Kyprios in 2024 and 4th to Trawlerman last year. His return to the track this year saw him fight off the rising star Caballo De Mar in the 2-mile Sagaro Stakes at Ascot. But 4 weeks later, he went down to Dubai Future, though an odds-on favourite. That aside, he's been there before, and though I can't see him knocking off the big guns, he's a good option for the exotic punters. Here it is, the Royal Ascot Track Map. The runners starting from the yellow marker on screen, running an approximate 1,200 metres before the first turn, then travelling downhill towards Swinley Bottom before things get a little tougher, travelling uphill. Trawlerman, the defending champ that was being offered at $12 by Sportsbet about 2.5 weeks ago. Such was the belief that he wasn't going to run, but he is. And now they have Trawlerman at $4.40. He's got the runs on the board, unbeaten in his last 4 starts. The big question is the preparation. Obviously things haven't gone to plan, with trainer John Gosden saying the horse had developed a sensitivity to bright light and was wearing some dark goggles in recent training outings. Apparently he won't be able to wear the goggles in the race. He's also up against history, because if we delete Yates in 2009, no 8-year-old has won the Gold Cup since the Australian import. Yes, the Aussie import Merman won the race in 1900. And if we get technical, he was actually about 7.5, having been foaled in the Australian spring. To go full circle here on the Melbourne Cup channel, Merman's sire was the undefeated Melbourne Cup winning Grand Flaneur. Wow. Carmers, well, this horse is actually in the Melbourne Cup picture already. Trainer Paddy Toomey stated that he was working back from November with Melbourne in mind. He's likely to also run in the Irish St Ledger, according to the trainer. Carmers is a 4-year-old Antire that won at this track last year in the Queen's Vase over 2800. Since then he hadn't won until his last start, dropping back to listed level over 2 miles and dispatching of Dallas Star, who was to be one of his Gold Cup rivals. If you take a look at our Gold Cup playlist, you'll see Carmers' recent win in His Majesty's Plate, and you'll hear from the trainer who does say the horse was getting a bit cute and not always interested. Check it out. Furthur, the 4-year-old, he failed in last year's Melbourne Cup, and it's a shock to see him lining up in this race after a 4th and 6th in his subsequent runs in 2026. Amongst his ownership is Racing.com presenter Lizzie Jelfs, so I'm positing that Furthur's appearance here in the Ascot Gold Cup is more about the owners being on course at one of world horse racing's biggest occasions. But good luck to them. Rahiebb, the 4-year-old on the rise, only came onto my radar after his shock second in the St Ledger last year, just a neck short of knocking off Scandinavia. But to be fair to Rahiebb, he had already showed us some talent with a 4th in the Gordon Stakes and 3rd in the Group 2 Queen's Vase. Anyway, returning to the track on the 15th of May this year in the Group 2 Yorkshire Cup against open age opposition for the first time, he was a very impressive winner, knocking off a couple of his lesser rated Gold Cup rivals, Al Nayyir and Furthur, by a healthy 2.25 lengths to Al Nayyir and further 5 lengths back. He looks a serious stayer. Scandinavia, the 4-year-old, is the favourite after beating his older rivals in the 2-mile Goodwood Cup last year and also notching up a second Group 1 win, though against his own age group in the St Ledger. Those wins in 2025 can't be faulted, but suddenly they're comparing this guy to Kyprios. Firstly, Kyprios didn't run in the St Ledger as a 3-year-old, and also here he is winning the Levmos as a 4-year-old on the way up. That's a hungry youngster. Scandinavia, on the other hand, is barely seeing off the Group 3 tryhards of Irish staying, Happy Pharaoh and Ledestrier. Now, to be fair, trainer Aidan O'Brien said post-race he only does what he's got to do and that he will put some more serious training in before the Gold Cup. But I dispute the he only does what he has to do stuff. Finally, Miss Alpillies, a 5-year-old mare. She does look like her best distance is a long distance. 2 starts back when she stepped up to Group 3 level for the first time, she was a distant 3rd in the Sagaro Stakes behind Sweet William and Caballo De Mar. I thought there was a point in that race where she stopped conceding ground to the 2 protagonists, a good sign, and in her most recent outing, another Group 3 but restricted to fillies and mares over 1 mile and 6 furlongs, she once again slogged away honestly, though she was unable to better the Gosden-trained mare Danielle, who I'm guessing is likely to turn up in the Goodwood Cup as a red-hot chance. She finished 1.25 lengths from Danielle. A top 6 finish is possible. Okay, so here's the speed map and lead horses as I anticipate. Very little doubt that Riffa and Dubai Future just lay in wait and try to pounce late. Now remember, the runners have around 6 furlongs to the first turn, but there will be a moment of reckoning for Ryan Moore on Scandinavia at some point. I figure he'll be okay with William Buick and Trawlerman leading out, but Rahiebb and Caballo De Mar will both want to go ahead of him, in my opinion. Rahiebb and Ray Dawson may be less determined to cross, but I doubt Oisin Murphy will want to chase Scandinavia late on Caballo De Mar. This results in a likely strong early speed. Perhaps I'm wrong, and Moore just hands up and lets them cross in the belief that Scandinavia has the superior turn of foot. But he risks giving Trawlerman 2.5 to 3 lengths advantage if he does meekly hand up. Very, very interesting what plays out down the straight the first time. I wouldn't be surprised if Sweet William gets a bit closer to the action at some stage, possibly looking to box Scandinavia in or go past him so that the favourite has to overtake him to win or to catch Trawlerman. Anyways, I've ended up siding with 8-year-old Trawlerman. He's been to the wall before. I see Rahiebb as the biggest threat, possibly coming at him after he fights off Scandinavia. Include Caballo De Mar in your exotics though, he'll be thereabouts. But Trawlerman to defy age and become just the third 8-year-old to win the Ascot Gold Cup.